Hcode.
Hello, and welcome back to another Hcode session. I'm really excited tonight. We have a special guest. I'm really excited about the information you're going to get and so forth. However, I want to first welcome all the new guests, everyone that's new, and also the existing members just getting ready to move on. So the first thing we do is we introduce what it is that we do and who we are. And this is an interactive type of webinar. So we're going to ask for volunteers. We're going to ask for people to get involved. So you have the capability to do that. Q&A button where you can ask questions if you want to ask any question, depending on what the topic is tonight and so forth. And then there's also a little button that says raise your hands. So every now and then I'm going to ask you to raise your hand to make sure that you're here with me and I'm not here by myself. Can we do that? So if you guys are ready to actually get started and give you the introduction, raise your hands so we can start moving forward. Come on now, raise your hands. All right, great. Here we go.
Bert Oliva is an international orator. He speaks around the world about his experiences and teaches humanology, the scientific study of human potential. He has enchanted audiences all over the world, showing them the power of mind over matter.
He's one of the most talented speakers out here, and I highly recommend him to any type of book.
The more prepared you are, the luckier you'll be.
He is the world-renowned authority on leadership and human behavior.
Mr. Bert Oliva.
Bert Oliva!
He's considered the voice of inspiration and motivation. Today he'll pass his knowledge on to all of us.
For over 2 decades, Bert Oliva has touched the lives of hundreds of thousands of people. Bert has a dedicated social media following and an impressive online influence few possess, enabling him to communicate with audiences he has touched near and far.
I think he's one of the greatest motivators out there.
The thing I love about Bert is he's on stage and he gives his heart every single time.
He has developed many programs, recorded audio CDs, and written books, all of which to help those ranging from individuals to corporate and Fortune 500 companies. He has dedicated his life to speaking all over the globe and met some of the most influential and powerful people in the world.
Okay, let's go.
He has also coached highly successful business executives and politicians.
Normally seen as impossible.
I believed it and I did it.
An infectious motivator.
So get ready to learn tools that will help you tap into your potential.
Pay attention, this is real stuff.
Get ready to have an experience you won't soon forget. Please help me welcome Bert Oliva.
All right, welcome back. Well, let's go and recap a little bit on what we've done this month. It's been an exciting month, even though it's already a new month. Let's pretend it's not. This is for February's agenda. We talked about friendships, which is one of the things we went back and forth and talked about how important it is to create friendships and what to do when you have them to actually keep them for a long period of time, actually preferably for the rest of your life. We talked about divorce, how to create a divorce-free marriage, and also some of the techniques and tools that we use there. We talked about how to just use it all over in your entire life with everything, with your children and so forth. It was really powerful. And remember, for the members, you can go back into the member center and actually see all the videos and the homework and all the forms and stuff that you get to see in these presentations and actually use them with your family or your business partner or whatever the case is. So you can always go back, and I really highly recommend it. In fact, sometimes what I'm getting a lot of is a lot of people going back and looking at that, but it's also awesome to see it live. You see all the mistakes and stuff, you know. Loneliness. We talked about being lonely. That's one of the things how important it is, because even though some people are around a lot of people, they can still feel lonely. So we had a whole topic on that, and it was great. It was powerful. However, today's session is about coworkers. It's about the way that you want to increase your business, you want to increase your success. You got to get along with your coworkers or find a good way to communicate with one another. So that's what we're going to do today. However, today we have a special guest, and we're going to have an interview at the end. So stick along. And also, I'm going to make the program a little shorter than normal so we can get to the person that we invited, because we're really excited. Not only is he a great friend and a mentor in certain things that he's taught me, and we've had a great experience, and we've become great friends. And this is awesome because it was done in such a short period of time. And, we'll talk more about it when I bring in Scott, and let's get started. You guys ready? If you're ready, raise your hands. I want to make sure you guys are here with me. Okay, coworkers. Here we go. How is your relationship with coworkers? I want you really to think about this. How is your relationship with your coworkers? Do you get along with all of them? Or maybe sometimes you do, or sometimes you don't. I just want you to answer this question to yourself. And some of you say, well, I'm an entrepreneur. There's a lot of people here that are entrepreneurs, but you still have coworkers. There's people that you got to work with in order to make your business grow. So how are you getting along with them? Do you actually even work on it, or it's just something that's become second nature to you? Well, let me give you some tools and techniques, and we'll go in that direction. Coworkers. Workplace relationships directly affect the worker's ability to succeed. See, one of the things, and remember, we spend an average of 50 hours and sometimes even more with these people. We spend more time with the people at work than we sometimes do with the people at home. So if someone's energy is affecting you, it's going to affect your work, because you're going to allow that to happen. So you need to realize that, you need to work on you. And the reason you're here, the reason that you attend these sessions is because really you want to be the better person. You want to grow. You want to excel. So it's not about you trying to change someone, because that's not going to happen. The only way people change is when you change. Your world will change. And you see me do this in the seminars many of times that, I'll go ahead and get a volunteer to come in front of me and, I'll poke them a couple times. Next thing you know, I can't move them. However, if I move, they move. So it's really about working on you. And then again, if you notice that sometimes you surround yourself with someone that's positive all the time at the office, and when you're around them, they make you feel good. Well, again, it's also certain techniques that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to get into that. So if you guys are ready for some of the positive relationships tools, raise your hands. I just love that feature. All right, how to make positive coworker relationships. Practice common courtesy. It's all about you. And maybe even though that you're always right, because sometimes you're always right, but it's not all about you. Common courtesy. Respect one another. Make sure that you're building that bond with respect. People a lot of times will go back and forth, and I believe that respect is something that you earn, not something that you automatically have. Does that make sense? So that's one of the things. The other thing is use effective communication. There's different things. In fact, there's a great book that I recommend you should read. It's a Stephen Covey book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People by Stephen Covey. If you haven't read it, you should read it. It's a great book, because not everyone communicates the same. Some people are visual, some people are auditory, and some people are kinesthetic. And just to break that down, some people you need to show them how to do things, because they'll see how you do it and they can actually do it, and it's good as you or even better. Then there's the other group, the group that likes to, you got to tell them, because they like to hear it and explain to them. So if you're talking to someone that's visual and you're explaining to them, they're never going to get it. So you need to work on your communication skill. And the people that are kinesthetic are the ones that are more emotionally driven. So a lot of times they like to read pamphlets. They like to read, instruction manuals. So that's, again, learning how to effectively communicate with your coworkers is important, but not only with coworkers. This is with everyone in life. So that's some of the stuff that we recommend. And we actually had an entire focus that we did, a session, a couple of episodes back. So if you guys go back about a year ago, about 6-7 months ago, you can go back and look at some of that about how to communicate through NLP, neuro-linguistic programming. The other thing is respect others people's time. This happens all the time. A lot of times they're so into their job that they want to make sure they're doing it right. And you may be in the middle of a conference call or in the middle of an email or something important, and a person will just knock on your door. You tell them come in, and before you even tell them that give me a moment, they start just giving you all the information. Respect people's time. Don't waste their time. Don't, can I talk to you now? Is this a good time for me? If not, usually what I do is when someone comes to me and says, I need your help right now, say, well, can you give me 5 minutes? Or can you give me 10 minutes? However, when those 5 minutes come or 10 minutes come, make sure that you go to them to see what it is they needed help with. Not that you forget, oh my God, then I got to go back to Bert 4 times. So that's really what you want to work on when it comes to certain things like that. Also, the other thing is, when you want to spend time with someone, in a meeting or just to go over certain projects, tell them, let's go over it for 30 minutes. Is 30 minutes good for you? And you make sure that you have everything you need. The questions you're going to ask, the things you're going to talk about, whatever it is, you're going to have it ready. So when you sit in front of that person, you don't waste their time. Not like, oh, I wish I would have brought it with me. Or, maybe if you come with me to my office, no, don't waste other people's time. You'll be surprised how much more you'll get along with your coworkers if you don't waste each other's time. The other thing is caution with social media. The social media thing is just such a double-edged sword. And when it comes to this, there's certain things to look at. Number one, be careful what you post, because if you don't want to be careful what you post, that's fine. Just don't allow your coworkers to see your posts. Then don't add them as friends. But if social media, the way it's going right now, even if you don't add certain people, they can get around and see your stuff anyways. So at the end of the day, if you're not happy with something that you posted, and you wouldn't want your children to see it, your grandchildren to see it, then you shouldn't be doing it. Does that make sense? I tell this to my children all the time. I tell them, look, if you're going to post something you're going to regret later on in life, then you shouldn't post it. And the thing is, make sure that you're a little more careful or cautious about what it is you're posting on social media. And also, again, on the other side, when someone posts something that you don't like on social media and they're your coworker, maybe pull them to the side and talk to them. Maybe you're seeing it a certain way and they're seeing it a different way. Wayne Dyer always says, once you decide to change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So that could be something to actually work on, but make sure that you're really careful on posting stuff on social media, especially when it comes to work. Don't gossip. Don't gossip. Do not become the gossip person in the office, and do not hang out with the person that's the gossip person in the office, because you'll be associated by just default because you're hanging out with that person. So at the end of the day, there's no need to gossip. There's no need to go ahead and talk about anyone or talk about anyone's business unless there's something that you're working with that person directly. So gossip is not a good thing if you want to have positive relationships in your office. Don't complain about work. Let me be honest with you. If you are not waking up every morning excited about what it is that you do, and I've talked this to, I do a lot of schools around the world, and a lot of times the teachers kind of lose that vibe. They started becoming a teacher because they like the education part of it. They like to teach. And then because of society, because the laws, the regulations, whatever, the pay and cut, they lose the motivation. And I'm like, did you do it for the money or did you do it for the love? Because if you did it for the love, the money will always follow, because you'll find different ways to actually bring more income into your life, maybe tutoring or whatever the case is. However, don't forget what you're doing it for. If you're working for a company and you're not happy with the company, then don't be there, because you're not helping yourself and you're definitely not helping the company. And that is not fair. So I'm not asking everyone to quit tomorrow. What I'm asking is to take a step back and realize, what is it I really want to do in my life? And if I loved this company 6 months ago or a year ago, then what happened with me? Not with the company, because it's easier to blame someone else. And then make your checks and balances and see, this is what I want. Because remember, people are always attracted to negative. That's the way human beings are. So, that's why movies are mostly negative. People are getting beat up and shot up. That's why certain things in society, the news, I got in trouble with this many years ago, and I still say it. CNN, constant negative news. If it's not negative, it's not news. So at the end of the day, people are kind of attracted to that. So just because you're having a bad day with a person or with the company, and you just state it out loud, chances are 2, 3, 4, 5 people will grab onto it. Next thing you know, you'll be known as the person who's always complaining about the company. And that's not what it's about. You don't want to do that. If anything, take a break, take a day off, a sick day, whatever the case is, and make sure that you're doing what it is you're doing in your life because you love it. And you will reap so many benefits and rewards in your life as long as you're a part of it internally, if you really believe. Let's go with the last one. Take responsibility for your mistakes. Now notice, all these tools that I have provided here, not only do they work for a company, they work for you to have a better life. Taking responsibility for mistakes. If you made a mistake, accept the responsibility. Like what they say, man up to it or woman up to it. Say I did it, and then do something about it so you don't repeat it. Sometimes I tell people, if you made a mistake once, I might accept it the second time, but after that, the chances are you're going to do it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and there's no need for that. So the sooner that you accept the responsibility of making a mistake, the sooner you won't do it again. A lot of times we don't change because we don't see it, we don't take fault in it. We're like, well, it wasn't my fault. The internet wasn't working. My connection was bad. The computer wasn't running correctly. Was it the computer? Was it that you were doing things a little too fast? Was it that you were maybe, not taking pride of your work? What is it? Was it that you're having issues at home and you're bringing it to work? So think about that thing. Those are things that are really important. And normally, for the new people that we have a few new people that are joining. Normally, we go into doing exercises, and then we go back and forth. We do Q&A, and we usually do 2 exercises per session. But today, we have something even better. We have a great friend of mine, which I'm going to bring up to do an interview. So if you guys are ready for that, raise your hands. Come on now, there's a lot more of you here. There we go. All right, let's move on. So the homework I want you to do this week is I want you to catch someone doing something right and call them out. See, we are always conditioned a certain way. We're conditioned in calling people out when they're doing things bad. But what about when they're doing things right? Different way of looking at things, right? If you go ahead and you give it a shot, and don't go out looking for seeing things that people are doing right, but when you notice someone's doing something right, call them on it. You'd be surprised how much not only feedback you'll get positive towards you, but how much better you will feel by doing something like that. Number 2, validate someone for something they did for you that made your life better or easier. Thank them, validate them. And thank you so much. Valerie, thank you so much for making sure that this setup is actually working. LJ, thank you so much for working on that last project that the client needed. Those are the things you want to do. Or you did such a great job. So those things are important. The other thing I want to do before I start up is give you the message of the week. To find joy in work is to discover the fountain of youth. This is something to think about. To find joy in work is to discover the fountain of youth. In other words, man, be as excited as you were when you were 15, 19, 20, whatever your magic number is. Wake up tomorrow feeling like you're that young again, because it's a mindset. Yes, certain things don't work the same. I get it. I wake up in the morning at my age now, and it's not the same as I used to wake up when I was 24. However, it only takes me 45 seconds. You guys know what I'm talking about, to change my state. And after those 45 seconds, I have an actual outline of the things I'm going to do that day. And one of the things I do every morning is I'm grateful. So I do my prayer. I'm grateful. And you'd be surprised how much more your day will be so good and positive if you have a ritual that you do every morning. So let's think about being younger tomorrow morning. Don't ask people how old you are. How young are you? Think about that. All right, so here we go. Let me go ahead and introduce Scott for you.
Scott D. Gottschalk is an international speaker and captivating author. Moreover, he has been an international consultant and agriculture education instructor for more than 30 years. And tonight, he's here to share his knowledge with us. So let's welcome Scott D. Gottschalk.
Mr. Scott!
Hey, Bert, how are you?
Yeah, how you doing? It's been a while, huh?
Yeah, I see you've been working on your tan. We got a little snow last night, so we're still white up here.
Well, we can't help it. As soon as we walk out, we get tanned.
Yeah.
Yeah, the streets here are sweating. They're not. So how's everything? Good?
Yeah, really good. Astrid's sitting right next to me here. She says hi.
I send her my love, and the love for her food. She made me gain 15 pounds. It's her fault, not mine, because I grabbed all the cookies and everything. We had a great time, man. We had a wonderful time. However, Scott, tell me a little bit more about you. Before we get into the questions and stuff that I have for you, tell me a little bit. I want everyone to know exactly, not just how we met. We met on a cruise. That was all great. But I want them to know a little bit more about Scott D. Gottschalk. Tell them who you are.
Well, I was born on a livestock and grain farm in southeastern Minnesota near Rochester. We, in fact, could see the Mayo Clinic from our farm. And as I grew up, We worked really long, hard days working on the farm. I've tried really hard to be a world traveler because I was 18 years old and had never been outside of our county. And our family never got a chance to go anywhere to people's weddings or families' graduations or things like that because we could never make it back home in time to milk the cows, which was 7 days a week, 4 weeks a month, and 365 days a year. And so I grew up. I told before I left for college, I said to my parents, I said, I'm gonna give back to this agricultural industry, to the people that I want to care for, the people that feed the people of this planet, but I want to see the world a little bit. And my dad, I love him dearly. He's 80 years old. I don't think he's still left our county yet. And I've had the privilege and honor of being on all 7 continents now and helping establish agricultural entities and operations in many different nations of the world. But I still get up every day and I try to help a farmer do a better job of helping feed the planet.
Yeah, and I know you do a great job with that. I mean, I experienced it firsthand. And, a lot of the things that we were able to enjoy in Minnesota was because of the relationships that you've built throughout the years. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to bring you into this interview. I mean, eventually I want to do another interview one-on-one on your career and, how great of a speaker you are. But I just wanted to really focus on the friendships. I mean, you have so many friends all over the world, and the reason is because you're a sincere person. And I want to know some of the tools. I want to know, how do you build strong relationships? Especially you've been all over the world. Is it different in different countries, or is it a certain belief system?
It's not really different anywhere across the world. The way you build friends is you don't wait for somebody to befriend you, you befriend them. You can always tell in certain neighborhoods, you'll hear people say, well, I don't like the neighbors. The neighbors are standoffish. The neighbors don't want to talk. But they haven't extended their hand forward. They haven't offered to help a neighbor or give a smile. I try to wake up every day with an optimistic point of view. My cup is always half full and getting fuller. People that wake up with their cup half empty and it's getting emptier, they're kind of a downer, but I really enjoy trying to make them smile, make their day better. And like you said, Bert, one of the things that you and I connected with, and we really do call each other brothers, is the fact that you are very face value. You're very honest, high integrity, sincere personality, and without hardly ever meeting me, you sense the same thing in me, and so those are important qualities, I think, in order to befriend people and establish relationships with people.
Are these qualities, first of all, thank you so much. That was so beautiful. Are these things that you've acquired throughout your life, or did it start with your parents? And and the second question is this something that you've taught your children too?
Yes, and yes, and yes. It starts out with, in our household, it was always about good communications, very forthright communications. No one held a grudge. Now, on a farm, sometimes we got into some pretty good scraps. I have 5 brothers and sisters, and we could scrap. And I'm going to tell you, at the dinner table, you best be eating fast because it was going to be gone and you were going to be hungry until the next day. But, just an ability to communicate and express your feelings was something that was taught by my family, by my parents. And in Astrid's, in my case, we tried to pass that on to our sons. You had a chance to meet at least one of our sons. The other one wasn't able to make it back from Wisconsin to Minnesota when you were coming to visit. But just a comfort level with feeling comfortable to ask people questions. It's kind of important. I believe you should always ask people about them. What are your hobbies? What are your interests? Tell me about your children. Tell me about your dogs, your cats. Get people comfortable with speaking with you and sharing about themselves. And in due time, they'll ask you questions about yourself. But if you're just sharing about yourself, that doesn't go real far in a relationship, not initially.
I have a question. When it comes to work, what do you feel are the characteristics to make you a top shelf coworker?
Well, it's interesting you say that, because one of the things that we're really proud of in our family is we are a 4th-generation family of wrestlers. We, my father was a really, really dedicated high school wrestler in the the mid 1950s.
Wow.
When my brother Jerry and I were born, by the time we were 2 years old and could barely walk, our Christmas presents that year were wrestling mats. And before we were able to really do much, our father was teaching us how to do double leg takedowns, single leg takedowns, and how to pin people. And that may sound a little bizarre, but my brother and I then grew up to be wrestlers, and our sons grew up to be wrestlers, and their children are now in the stages of wrestling. So how does that match up with coworkers? I look at it this way. Wrestling is and to put in the personal effort it takes to be the very best that they can be. They have a strong desire to win. They build on their losses. They continue to hone their skills. And they first and foremost want to win. That's one strong sign of a coworker that I look for. But individualism goes nowhere if a team is failing. You can be the best you can be as a wrestler, and if your team is no good, they'll remember the team. They'll remember the grand effort. So as teammates, having a willingness to sacrifice for the good of the entire team. In the end, a strong team accomplishes far more than any one individual. And that's always been my view of life. Growing up in a wrestling family, we were taught those values and those characteristics to be the best you can be, but be a part of a team, be a contributing member of society, lead by example, be a good role model, be a good mentor. All of those things are things I learned in a wrestling room.
Wow. And I mean, you use all these tools at work, right? And you've always done it on your entire career.
Right. Yes, I have.
What are like the 3 strongest tools that you use all the time? I know you mentioned a bunch of them, but I really want to focus on the top 3 that you think are really important for coworkers.
Well, you have to establish trust and respect with coworkers. And it's rather interesting that you bring that up, because you are aware of this, some are not. I've been 37 years in the animal agriculture industry. I have worked with thousands and thousands of people. I've had hundreds and hundreds of coworkers, and I changed positions and went to work for another company.
Oh, that was the question I was about to ask you next.
Okay.
For decades,
right.
Now that you know, how difficult was it that for the past few months you developed a strong working relationship with coworkers in a new company, and that you once were competing with?
Well, and that's the thing in the industry that I'm in. I really wanted to change. I was looking for a change. And I thought hard about where would I go to work if I want to stay in the same industry I am, that I have a certain level of expertise. I realized that everyone out there was my competition. And so I made a decision one day with a lot of prayers and in counseling with my own wife and my adult children. And we talked about it. And when it came down to it, ironically, I went to work for the stiffest competitor that I had worked with over many decades. And when I thought about it, would I want to go to work for someone who hadn't been good competition, or did I want to go to work for the toughest competition? And so I have to tell you, only 9 months ago, June 1st, I stood in front of an entire brand new team. And you have no idea how frightening that was, to stand up in front of 40 or 50 people. And you have to be in front of them and you say, for many years, we've competed, and we've competed hard against each other. and I hope you've respected the level of competition that I've put forth. I know I respect the level of competition all of you have put forth, but the truth of the matter is, by the stares you're giving me, I know there's a whole bunch of you that don't much care for me. And I'm going to tell you something, honestly, it's going to take me a little while to warm up to all of you as well. But as I sat there with him, I said, I promise you one thing. I will never demand respect from anyone. I will try to earn it every single day, one day at a time. And in the end, if we become friends as co-workers, it doesn't get much better than that. And that was 9 months ago. And I've got some of those co-workers listening in as guests tonight, Bert. And I would say that I would hope that they would say that it's been a mutual, enjoyable journey for all of us as we entered into another stage of my career.
I was wondering who those people were. Well, one thing you said, which is really interesting, is, you told them that you were going to earn your respect.
Right.
How do you do that? Give me a couple of tools.
Okay, well, that's a very good question. One of the very first things that I did is I wanted to spend time with each of my coworkers. And I wanted to just learn and listen from them. There was a chance for 25 of my teammates and I, one at a time, to sit down and sort of go through a review process. And again, remember, I had been the enemy for most of their careers. They had been my enemy. As we sat down across from each other, sometimes in very busy restaurants, I said, don't be offended, but I'm going to come over and sit by you in a booth. They'd look at me and say, wait a minute, we're in a restaurant, two guys, and you're going to sit next to me in a booth. Why are you going to do that? And I said, because I can hear you better and I can look into your eyes better when I'm right next to you, because I'm going to listen. I'm going to ask questions and I'm going to listen. And initially we started out, many of those new teammates said, well, how long is this going to take? And I said, well, you're going to set that. I said, I have no idea. I scheduled a half a day to listen and learn from you and your experiences, and so we can build a better team together. But if you have to go somewhere, you tell me what time it's over and we'll end it as soon as you have to go. Most of them said this doesn't have to take longer than 15 to 30 minutes.
Call from 1.
And believe it or not, I ended up averaging 3.5 to 4 hours with 25 different people. And they had started out saying, well, this shouldn't take more than 15 or 30 minutes. People, if you give them a chance to share, if you show that you care, if you're sincere, if you look people in the eye, you really listen to people with your heart and your mind, you'll build the greatest relationships and friendships on earth.
Yeah, one of the things I noticed being with you was, unless you told me that you were only working for that company for 9 months, it didn't feel that way. Because when I met the coworkers, the one that took us to the ice house and all that other stuff, it seemed like you've been with them for years. I mean, yeah. I know there's a couple of them that went with you to the company, but for the most part, it was like, wow, what a bond. That, and I was telling my wife that in Minneapolis, are most of the kindest people we've met all over the world were in Minneapolis. And I'm not just saying that because you're here. I've said this over and over again in the past couple of seminars that I've been at, and they're like, what was it? You drank the Kool-Aid? I'm like, no, I want water.
Yeah.
But it is. I mean, it was such an amazing experience, different culture. It's a different world. And I can see that a lot of that stuff comes from, old time training and values that you get from when you were a child. There's a big, strong belief system in God. And I thought that's powerful because down here where we live in South Florida, metropolitan city, everyone is running away from God, and that's really an important thing. And I don't want to get into preaching and stuff, but, that's one of the things that I really loved and enjoyed. And also the marriages, marriages, I'm proud when I get on stage and I say, I've been married for 25 years. And I'm like, 25? You're a kid, son. We've been married for 40 years, 50 years. And I was like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, my parents have been married 63 years.
Beautiful.
You know, we had the divorce session last week, but I'll tell you one thing. If I would have volunteered to get on and say something to you, when Astrid and I, when we got married, when we became engaged, we made a promise to each other that we would never say the D word ever again, and that it was not acceptable, and we were always going to fight through and struggle through, because marriage is hard work. And that's a whole nother topic that was last week. But
no, but you're right. It is hard work, and people are willing to throw it away immediately. At the end of the day, if you, like I tell people, if you fell in love with that person at one time, you can rekindle that relationship over and over again. It's like life. Anything in life that's always peaking, it's always going to have downfalls.
Right.
It's about getting the ride, enjoying the process. It's a beautiful thing. Life itself is a beautiful thing, even with friendships. Even with coworkers. It's funny though, because when we do our seminars, sometimes when we do like team building activities, and we'll use two different departments, and one department that doesn't talk to the other department. By the end of the session, they're hugging and embracing each other, and they're like, "I didn't know this person was." Dumbest question is the one you don't ask. And doing what you did is a great tool. Take someone out of their comfort zone, put him somewhere else. Let's go ahead and have a cup of coffee. Let's go have some soup together, or whatever meal, or dinner for you guys, which is lunch for us.
That's right. You eat dinner in a diner and supper in a supper club. Remember that, Bert.
We learned that. So one of the things is, find that time and invest that time with that person, and not just as a technique. Really open your ears. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and we spend most of the time talking and not listening. And if you sit long enough and really care about people, you will find out how similar you are with other people that you thought you didn't get along with. So it's all about communication. Do you agree with me, Scott?
I totally agree with you. And within 24 hours after I went to work for a new company and a new team and new coworkers, I immediately began saying, these are the greatest people, the greatest teammates I've had forever. This is the greatest company. And it wasn't a stretch. I go all in. I'm a very passionate person.
I had a great time in your company, and I liked the tour. Tina? Was it Tina? Tina.
Yep.
Connected with the team, and she was amazing. I don't know if she's here tonight, but she was an amazing person, and it was a great connection. Travis and we couldn't stop talking to each other. And I found out that he was also a new person in the company. And it's just such a beautiful way of communicating, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to have you here, is because it's not what I've read. I actually experienced it. You experience people that have been there for a year, people that have been there for 40 years, and you couldn't tell them apart. It was a family. That company is a family. And that's one of the things, the only way you can do that is having those great techniques that you guys apply.
Right.
So what I want to do is, if you have any questions to ask Scott right now, it would be a great time. All you have to do is go to the Q&A button and, ask the question. And hopefully, if you're in front of a computer, we can actually put you online and you can actually talk to us live in color. That would be great. We would love that. So we're going to go ahead and give you an opportunity to do that. So Scott, where do you see yourself in 5 years with this company?
I see myself just getting a good start. It was kind of interesting as the leaders of this new company were interviewing me. They said, "How long do you see yourself working?" And I said, "Well, first of all, you can't ask me, but I'm going to tell you I'm 60 years old." I said, "So that being said, I'm going to tell you that I'm going to give you probably a good solid 20 to 22 hours every day. And I will only slow down to the work ethic of a 30-year-old if you beg me to do that. But that being said, I intend on telling you that I will give you at least 10 additional years." And they said, "Not really. You're not really going to go till 70. I said, "Well, I kind of hope I can go further than that, but I'm going to at least guarantee you 10 years. And, some of the things that I've shared with my teammates and my coworkers is I'm pretty well known for setting goals and then reaching those goals. And I laid an expectation, and I plan on reaching that goal."
And I agree. I have a question for you. It says, how let me see the question. How do you deal with conflicts at work?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, first of all, there's conflict in everything in life. There's conflict in marriage. There's conflict with your children. There's conflict with your coworkers. There's conflict and drama with every company and almost everything in life. My goodness, there's tremendous conflict in our country right now. And, level-headedness, having a resolve to try to mend things, to mend relationships. I sometimes liken some of the job or maybe some of the skills that the good Lord blessed me with is the ability to be a good referee, a good umpire, a good marriage counselor, again, it's a good role model, it's a mentor, it's all the different things. And people that are struggling with conflict in their life, I don't care, again, if it's marriage or it's at work, I like to listen. I like to sit down. I like to close the door and listen to them. And sometimes it's express empathy with them. Sometimes it's to share that, a lot of people don't know this, but I walked that terrible path you walked many years ago. And, it happened with a friend of mine not long ago. She was in pretty bad straits and having a tough go of life right now. And it was a wonderful 3-hour investment to just help each other get to a better place together.
I agree with that. I think people will be amazed how much similar we are as human beings. And just because society or people kind of try to break us apart, but we've all gone through tough times. I mean, everyone has. I tell people in the seminars, have you ever have made a mess in your life? Or have you ever been tested or have created a test? A mess, a test is part of your testimony and part of your message. We all have a message, we all have a testimony, and as long as you're able to sit down, like what you said, sit down and really talk, really communicate, you'd be surprised how much more alike we are as human beings. I love it. I think it's great. We have a live one. We have a person that wants to come in live and ask a question, so that's going to be neat. So thank you, Scott, so much for wanting to do this with us. I mean, we're really happy. LJ had a meeting, but he made sure to, look who it is. I didn't know it was here.
Am I live?
You're live.
Hi.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Good. Well, at least we know it works in Panama now. I'm in Panama City, Panama.
Oh, cool.
And I wanted to ask you a question, Scott. Do you think that, hello, by the way, miss you very much.
Alex,
yeah, miss you too.
Alex, behind you have a photo bomber behind you.
Oh, well, I'm at the airport, so there's really nothing I can do if the loudspeaker comes on. I apologize ahead of time. Anyway, so my question is, Scott, do you think that there should be some kind of, at a corporate level, when somebody comes into a company, at a, medium-sized to large company, should they assign mentors or have some kind of initiation for the employees? Does that make the transition easier into a company, in your opinion?
It's very interesting you say that because, believe it or not, Tina Hunzi should be watching in tonight, and her and I have had those conversations, and we have, together with our HR department and our leadership team of the new company I work with, we've started implementing not only a single mentorship, but new employees on our team. We assign 2 different people that help them, take them on the job, and they're always a go-to person for them. And we believe that's going to really help them be more successful as they start their new careers.
I agree. And making these Hcodes happen is a team effort, and we do a lot of R&D to make sure that we know exactly what we're talking about, and that Bert trains and make sure that the information, is the most up to date. And we were looking into that, into the liaisons or, the mentor program. And we thought, what, this is something that most companies, I believe, should implement. But being that you're an insider into a company like that, that's why I was wondering. So thank you very much for answering that question. Hope to see you guys soon. and I'm about to embark on the plane, and I will see you, my team, very, very soon.
Travel safe.
I'll see you in a few
Thank you. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. I have a question that is anonymous. It says, are there any coworkers you were not able to connect with?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, that would be the honest answer. Now, it's a little early for me to tell yet in 9 short months if there are, I don't have a sense of, I mean, there's different levels. There's some that are really where we've connected well and just have become such great coworkers and friends. There's others that I still sense are a little bit, at a distance, kind of keep things at arm's length, probably still don't trust and understand it. Everyone has a different change cycle and adapt at different rates. But I can tell you on a former team that I worked with that was approximately the same number of coworkers, I felt really good about it, all but one. There was one that it was never, I kept it on a professional basis, but it was never going to be close and it was never going to be good. Just honest, that's an honest answer.
But don't you think that every now and then, the more you work on yourself and the more they can see that you're really truth, with your word and the way you act and so forth, sometimes even those people that don't get along with you at the precise moment, sometimes they actually convert and they realize, wow, it could even be going out on, doing the snow fishing,
right,
ice house, it could be one of those moments in which the person clicks, because it's happened to me before when I was at Xerox. People just didn't click with me, and we went out for a drink or we went out to to network, to look for more business, and they're like, man, I didn't know you were like that. You're kind of cool. So
just so you know, too, as your mentor, we do not snowfish in Minnesota. We ice fish. Okay.
Ice fish.
Yeah.
I sit corrected.
I was actually telling people you were an expert at this.
Now, let me tell you, that was such an experience being out there. And then they sent us, one of those guys there sent us a view from their drone.
Yes.
My God, that looked amazing. I had no idea there was that many people on the snow.
Yeah, there were 900
on the ice. On the ice. I was in shock.
Almost 1,000 people were fishing for fish that day when all of you from Miami were out there. It was a wonderful experience.
And amazing. Every time we stop somewhere, they're like, you want to see mine? You want to go inside? They'll show you around. That was amazing. That was the only time I saw that was when we had the hurricane. Andrew, back in the old days, everyone was loving each other. It was weird. Now we don't talk to each other, but that's okay. They know about me, but they won't knock on my door.
I'm just quickly going to say too, I had the chance, the opportunity, the privilege to meet Bert and his whole team and family back in October. It's only been that few months ago. And, just a common bond almost instantly. And you've become just a really, really good teacher, a friend, a mentor. I trust you a lot, and you've been a blessing in my family's, in my life.
And the feeling is mutual, my friend. It's the same thing. My family, honestly, my daughter, and I know I don't want to take off from this, but my daughter, she cried all the way home. She didn't want to leave, The connection was amazing. And those are the things that are important about building relationships. And even though it's not part of today's session, we talked about friendships in the beginning of the month. And it's all really, what you're seeing here tonight is all combined. We spoke about, parenting, how it all started when he was young. We spoke about, coworkers. We've spoken about friendships that you're seeing here that's been made. And it's just amazing. We need to embrace life more. God gave us everything that we need to have to live the quality of life that we deserve. And the reason that most people don't do it is because they're afraid to take action. They're afraid to lose something that they haven't even had yet.
Right.
So we have a live person for Scott. We have one more live person. This will be the last person, and then we can call it a night. But I just had to say that. I mean, man, life is so beautiful and it's so short. Embrace it. Meet people. Connect. Here we go. We got someone for you, Scott. Somebody's excited.
Hey, that's Heather.
Yes.
So, Marcia, tell me where you're from. You tell me your name and where you're calling from.
So I'm actually Heather. My mom is Marcia, but she doesn't want to be on camera. But I'm from Byron, Minnesota. So yes, and Scott's my uncle. So go ahead.
So here you go. Ask him a question.
All right. So well, Scott knows me that I'm not a very good communicator. So how could I become a little bit better?
You are a good communicator. You're doing something. The average person wouldn't dare to get in front of a camera. You know, this alone says you are. Don't allow someone else's belief system to come into you and tell you you're not. You're a great communicator. I think you're a great job. What do you think, Scott?
Thank you, but
okay. She's a good communicator every time I've ever seen her. She talks wonderfully, and so is her mother.
Hey, come on, Mom.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hi, sister.
I love you.
So, Scott, give her a couple of tools, a couple of techniques, and then I'll bounce off of that.
Well, again, put the first foot forward. Even if you're scared, even if you're bashful, put the first foot forward and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I love that.
And ask somebody about themselves. I tell you, one gift that Heather has is she shines when she works with children. She absolutely shines. I have seen her do things with little kids that no one could get them to do. She's a beautiful person, and she and she needs to just stiff up her lip and put a foot forward, and she can communicate just fine when she's out there.
So, Heather, when you speak to these children, do you communicate with them?
Yes, but children and adults are different. I don't know.
Okay, let me explain something to you. They're the same. They're just big children. Children and adults are absolutely the same. They're just big children. I know this because I teach both. I speak to children and to adults, and I have more fun with the children because at least they're real. They'll tell you how they're feeling. The adults kind of hide it a little bit. But now, how do you communicate with these children? What techniques do you use?
Say that again.
What techniques you use to communicate with these children?
I guess, I don't know. I just try to, get to their level, play with them. Playing with them then goes into conversation. But see, I don't know if it's because they look up to me. But then when I go to adults, I'm almost scared almost, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but when you're talking to the children, you feel confidence, yes?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
What I want you to do is next time you're talking to these children, I want you to take a breath and think about what you're feeling. How are you breathing at that precise moment when you're confident? How's your posture when you're confident? Mm-hmm. How's your voice? No, think about this. So what it is you put yourself in that state. So if you go ahead and do these three things, because we have certain patterns, for example, if you're slouching, I'm not going to, if I was to slouch right now and you look at me in the camera, I'd be like, hey, Scott, so tell me you're not going to get the same feeling. So you find your place. What's your place? You sit the way you're sitting when you're talking to the children. You feel your heart and then increasing it, how your breathing pattern is, your physiology, everything turned in. And you're like, okay, this is who I am. This is who Heather is. Then you take that Heather, and when she walks into a room of adults, you remember that. You anchor that. And you can anchor it as simple as, I used to get my hand right here, and I'll go ahead, you see this finger? I'll bend on it and put pressure on it like this. So it feels like pressure, right? So I can be talking to the children, and I'm feeling confident. I'm connecting with them. I'm pressuring the finger. That sends a signal to my mind to let me know that I'm on. I am connected, right? Now, when you go into a room and you feel a little comfortable, you press that finger, and your body, breathing, everything will go right back to that place, and you'll be able to communicate like if you were talking to the children. Give it a shot, and then let me know if it works.
That sounds awesome. Thank you so much.
It works. It's called neuro-linguistic programming, and we're conditioned that way. So what happens is a lot of times throughout life, we give people switches of our lives, and they turn it on and off. What we teach is how you can take control back of that switch, so you switch on and off the things in your life when you want to. So that right there will be your switch. So next time I meet you and you're a little nervous, you press that button, but you got to press it so like it hurts, like a little.
Okay.
So you like it triggers you. It's a trigger. Like, okay, I did this with the children. I'm gonna do this with the adults. And the first communication you come with the adults, you're gonna see how powerful it is just by using that exercise.
Okay, we're back. Okay, we're back.
All right, so I hope that helps.
Thank you so much. It did a lot.
Hopefully, looking forward to seeing all of you in the upcoming sessions. I mean, let us know. Valerie will send out an email tomorrow, so you guys will know how to get on. And hopefully I'll see you around more. But these sessions are really good. Today was a little special because I had to bring my friend in, and I really love this guy, love his family. Can't wait to meet his second son. But we had a great time. Next time I got to go meet you guys.
Yeah, of course.
The shy mom and all.
I'm not shy now. It's almost over.
That's what I'm talking about. Scott, you're there, right?
I'm still here.
You're doing what you told me. Be quiet and just observe. All right, guys. So thank you so much for logging in. Scott, I'm going to say bye to you. Before we leave, I know we've gone on a little long. I want you to leave him with a motivational message. Whatever message you want, something that comes out of your heart. I know this is not something that I told you I was going to do, but I love your messages. You motivate me. So leave him with something to think about before I close.
I've got a quote that I heard a while ago that I really like. Don't die before you're dead. Live life. Live the thrill. Get something out of it. We're only around for a short period of time. Get up and make something happen. Enjoy life.
Love it. Thank you so much. That's such a powerful quote. Isn't that awesome? I love this guy. Yeah, I love this guy. All right, Scott, love you so much, brother. Say hello to everyone. I want to know how your son's daughter's doing, but we'll go ahead and call you after this. Thank you so much, and it was great, better than I expected. Anytime I do something with you, it's just you exceed the expectations we have. So looking forward to connecting with you again. And let me go ahead and sign off. Right. My name is Bert Oliva. Remember to live life and don't let life live you. And I will see you next Wednesday.
Register online and join us today for all new live interviews and weekly topics. Only at thehcode.com.